Okay, today I want to talk about setting up multiple websites being hosted in IIS 7 running on Windows Server 2008 using the multiple IP address methodology as opposed to the last video you just watched, which was the multiple ports methodology. In this particular video, the setup is the same. I have gone in and I've created on the C drive, let me go ahead and open it up. On this server, logged in as administrator, an inet pub, FTP root, local user folder, and I've created Ellie, Granny, and Jethro containers here for websites. And if I right click, you've got an index.html file within each of those corresponding to the corresponding websites. In addition to that, I have set up Internet Information Services to make sure that's set up properly. We have a default website and everything's running there. Alright, so the first thing we need to do in this particular case with multiple IP addresses is we need to make sure we have that static IP address. And so to do that, we're going to click on the Start button and go to Control Panel. And I want to get to Network and Sharing Center. And I'm going to click on the Manage Network Connections and pull up the network interface here. This is the local area connection here in Control Panel. So I'm going to right click on it and Properties on that to bring up the property sheet for the local area connection. I'm going to click on the Internet Protocol version 4 and select the Properties button and show you that I have assigned a static IP address here of 192.168.1.175 as a Class C network with the corresponding subnet mask and default gateway of 192.168.1.1 with the preferred DNS the same. Alright, so that has been set up properly. Okay, and just to demonstrate that we have successfully set up hold on just a moment, let me get out of this. I am going to click on the Start button and bring up the command prompt. And I'm going to type in ipconfig space / all and show you that here we have DHCP should be disabled. It's not enabled, and we do have the IP address assigned of 192.168.175, which is the preferred IP. Okay, I'm going to get out of this, and so I'm going to issue an exit command here and get back to the interface here, and let me bring it back to full screen. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and cancel. Well, actually, no, need to get back in there. We're going to click on the Advanced button, and we're going to bring up the Advanced TCP/IP Settings window here. And we're going to add 3 more IP addresses here on this interface, corresponding to the 3 websites that we have. So we're going to click the Add button here, and we're going to type in 192.168.1.200 with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. We're going to add that one. I'm going to add another one, 192.168.1.201, and same subnet mask. And then we're going to add a third one, which is 192.168.1.202. Alright, so we have 201, 200, 201, and 202 here. So we're going to click OK, and close. Alright, and we're going to close this interface, and we can get out of the Network and Security Center. So let's go back to the Start button again, and let's type in the command and open up a command prompt. And let's type in that ipconfig all again. And now we should get a listing of all the IP addresses that we have assigned here. the initial one for the server that we had, and now we have 200, 1.200.1.201, and 1.202, all with the appropriate subnet mask. All right, I'm going to go ahead now and exit this interface and get back to the server. And now with the 3 IP addresses assigned, we can go into Internet Information Services, and we can set up those 3 websites and bind them to those 3 IP addresses that we just set up. So let me get into IIS7 Manager. And it didn't open for me. Let me right-click and open it. All right, so with IIS Information Services Manager open, I want to go down here and expand it. And right now, the only site we have in here is the default website. And if we click on the bindings, let's go down in there and we can highlight it and select Edit. You can see that we have this default website bound to HTTP, all unassigned IP addresses, port 80, and the port 80 firewall is open. And so if you look at it from this perspective, it's got a little asterisk here under the IP address. That means that it listens on all IP addresses, port 80, for the default site here. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is create the 3 websites for the 3 containers. So I'm going to right-click on Site and add a website. And I'm going to create initially the Jethro site. And let's navigate to the content directory for Jethro. And so C drive, inetpub, FTP root, local user, Jethro. And we're going to bind, this time, HTTP protocol to the 200 IP address, 192.168.1.200. Leave the port 80 alone since we're not changing that. And the firewall's open, so we should be able to reach it. So now if we go out, we should be able to reach Jethro's website on this IP address. So let's click OK. And now let's create a secondary site, which is the Granny site. And let's go to her container, FTP root and Granny, local user Granny. Now we're going to bind Granny's website to 201, so 192.168.1.201 port 80. And then lastly, we're going to create Ellie's website, and we're going to go down into her container, C inetpub FTP root, local user Ellie. And port 80, we're going to use an IP address of 192.168.1.202. All right, so we've got those 3 websites now created. Okay, we're going to go out now and test this, but first let's talk about the firewall issue. Remember I said that port 80 was open by default when IIS7 was installed. And since we didn't change the port assignment here using IP address assignments, we should not have any issues reaching those other 3 websites on the corresponding IP addresses. So that makes this methodology a little bit more convenient than the multiple ports methodology if you've watched that video before. So let's go out to the Windows 7 platform that I have. Fire up Internet Explorer tab here, and let me bring that up. And what I want to do now is I want to, on this tab, I want to access, let me get to it if it settles down here. I want to access the website for the first assignment we had, which is Jethro. So I'm going to type in http://192.168.1.200 is what we gave Jethro's website as a binding here. So we should be able to reach Jethro's website on that IP address. And we do. All right, and we should be able to reach Granny's on the 201 and Ellie's on the 202. So as you can see, we have accessed, without doing anything with the firewall, Jethro's website on the new IP address that we assigned in the advanced settings area. All right, so let's go back out to the server now, and let's talk about briefly how the logs have been impacted. So let's go out to the sites folder here. And you can see that under the sites area, the Jethro site is ID number 2, and that was the one we just hit on 192.168.1.200 here, port 80. All right, so let's go to the logs, and to get there, we right-click on Computer, Open, and let's double-click on the C drive when it comes up. And let's go to inetpub and the logs and log files. All right, you'll notice here we have 3 containers, W3SVC1, 2, and 4. The W3 again stands for World Wide Web. The SVC is the service, and 1, 2, and 4 are the corresponding ID numbers from how they were created by IIS-7 and logged by IIS-7. If you recall, I believe 2 was the number for Jethro. So let's double-click on Jethro, and let's right-click on this log and open it. And we should see an assignment here. Let me expand this out so we can see it. Should see an IP address of 192.168.1.200 on port 80, which we do. And this is from machine 192.168.1.196, which is my Windows 7 Ultimate client. So here we can see that the log associated with that ID number correctly indicates that we did hit that website on this IP address from this computer on that port. So that has logged appropriately for us and works quite well. So this demonstration has been accessing multiple websites using multiple IP addresses on Windows Server 2008 using IIS-7.